Look, it's worth restating that we stand 100% behind the results of the first time we conducted this test. Hollywood's always leading you to believe that sliding around a corner is faster than driving around a corner, and we found definitively that driving is faster on asphalt. But fans wrote and said we would come to a totally different result if we tested it on dirt. And so that is what we are doing here. We are driving this dirt course while driving and also testing that against drifting to find out which one is faster and whether or not the fans are right.
Remember, Jamie's fastest non-drifting lap was 2 minutes 22. But with Adam ready to drift like a pro.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Can he beat that benchmark? Adam's off.
Now throttle. Yeah, that's it!
And immediately he's using a complex combination of steering, throttle, and brake
Yes!
to lose traction with the dirt and drift
And use the power to steer the car. Yeah, baby!
through every turn.
Yeah! That's what I'm talking about.
Because the myth is that drifting through every turn is the fastest way to drive.
Oh, yeah. That's it.
But is it?
Here comes the finish line. How did I do there?
224.
2:24? That's almost identical to your time. All right, I'm gonna try again.
Okay.
Yes.
For his second and final lap, Adam again puts pedal to the metal.
Oh, yeah! This is freaking live! Oh, dude!
But this time, will he hammer the Heinemann?
Yeah! That's it! Yeah! Come on!
Or will this myth be done and dusted?
Ah, that felt so good. That felt so awesome. How did I do?
223.
No way! That is awesome! All right, so after kicking up all that dust, where do we stand? Jamie's best time driving this course without drifting, 2 minutes, 22 seconds. My best time driving this course drifting to heck and back, 2 minutes, 23 seconds. They are functionally identical times.
Yep, overall, the two times from two equally skilled drivers were statistically the same. But closer inspection of the footage reveals a wrinkle.
So over the entire course, Jamie's and my lap times were identical, but check this out. On this gentle turn, we superimposed Jamie's driving car and my drifting car, and as you can see, Jamie makes the turn faster because I lose traction in the drift. But now, look at the sharp turn. Here, I'm faster because I don't lose as much momentum. So yes, there are occasions when drifting on dirt is quicker, but the idea that it's always quicker no matter what, which is what we're testing, well, I guess that's for the wrap-up. So, once upon a time, there was a myth that drifting was faster than driving, and we tested this on asphalt and found it to be busted. But fans gave us a new myth. They said drifting is faster than driving if the surface that you're driving on is actually dirt like this. We have tested it. What have we found?
Busted.
Let's get out of here, preferably without too much drifting.
Still to come.
I love these robotic fish.
There's fish in the firing line. And a boom with a view. In this final season special,
Revisit.
what's next?
So I understand we're ending with a bang.
Yes, it's time to cue the explosions with a return to what is bomb-proof. We've tested this in the past, and fans didn't say we got any specific test wrong. Instead, they have a brand new twist on this, which I love. They claim that the best protection against a bomb is another bomb. Specifically, that if two explosions that are identical in size go off simultaneously, their shockwaves will cancel out where they meet. And if you're standing in that location, you'll be totally fine.
Good story.
I thought so. It's time to blow some stuff up.
1.
What is bomb-proof?
You're not first, we're good.
Has been a fan favorite for years. So no final season revisit would be complete without a bomb-proof kaboom.
My favorite place to blow stuff up.
Mine too. Let's get set up.
Now, to test this myth about explosive cancellation, we could have just gone to the bomb range and set off 2 blasts without much fuss. But instead, we've come back to Ione, and that's because we want to do the test above water. Why? Well, this myth is all about shock waves. And we found in an earlier experiment that explosions above water give you a great visual image of the shock wave. Not only is the shock wave itself more visible in the air, but it also leaves a really clear pattern in the water.
Not only should the lake showcase the shockwave, it's also good for picturing the 2-boom plan.
Now, soon enough in this episode, you are going to get to see some absolutely gorgeous high-speed shots of the blast pressure waves from an explosion moving outwards across this beautiful lake. But until then, let me use these stones to tell you what we're going to see. First explosion will be a single 5-pound blast, and you'll get to see the blast pressure wave move out from that like this. See those ripples moving outwards from where I dropped the pebble? That equates to our blast pressure wave. And our pressure transducers will be reading the intensity of that pressure front as it moves away from the epicenter of the explosion. Once we have that data in hand, it will be time to do 2 simultaneous explosions, symbolized by these 2 rocks. Now watch as their ripples move towards each other and then collide. It's that collision of the 2 blast pressure waves that we are going to be looking at the data. If this myth is true, we should see a significant drop in the intensity of those pressure fronts when they meet.
Well, to find out, Jamie's replacing the rocks with something altogether more dangerous.
So these are our explosives. That's 5 pounds of TNT. And these are our floating platforms with a hole right in the middle. There'll be a rod comes up 3 feet. That sits on top of it. Bob's your uncle.
Meanwhile, Adam's building the data collection device
Awesome.
upon which the whole experiment depends.
So first up, I'm making an 8-foot by 1-foot platform that will float on the surface of the lake. Then I'm going to drill 7 holes at 1-foot intervals across the length of the platform. Another good use for a cowboy hat. Into each of those holes, I am putting a 6-foot length of Schedule 40 pipe. Awesome. At the very top of each piece of pipe will sit pressure transducers, which will measure the exact blast pressure of our explosions. 1 down. Attached to each of the transducers is a wire that will emerge from the pipes carrying some lovely pieces of data for us to analyze.
So, the rig is certainly complex,
I think we're fine.
but its job is surprisingly simple. Once in position on the water, the guys will set off a single blast. The rig's 7 PCB transducers will then record baseline pressure readings as the blast wave passes by. Next comes blast 2, an identical double explosion, where the rig will help reveal if the pressure readings where the 2 waves meet goes up, down, or sees no change at all. And with the assembly at last ready to roll, the guys must next position it in the lake for the single blast control. A procedure that's a very delicate operation.
Well, that was interesting. Jamie and I are out setting up for the first experiment when all of a sudden the wind picks up. Oh, for we actually turned out to have gotten caught in a little tiny tornado. You all right?
Yeah.
That was... Oh! Felt like being smacked with a ton of bricks. And all of a sudden, I knew my hat was almost blowing off. Jamie's hat was blowing off.
I've never seen that happen here since all the time we've been coming here.
Yeah, that was weird.
It's not what such a delicate operation needed, but it's not long before the rig is in place.
It'll float.
Cool.
Next, it's joined by the controls explosive. 5 pounds of TNT positioned 3 feet above the water and 5 feet from the end of the rig.
Awesome, awesome.
And with that, it's time for the single boom benchmark.
Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole! All right, here we go. This is for real. Control explosion, 5 pounds in 3, 2, 1. Whoa! That was a crack!
Yes.
Dude!
Well, the sensor platform is still there.
And our drone is still flying. That was intense. As far as control blasts go, that was as neat as you please. I don't mean neat in terms of tidy, because no, Jamie is actually out there picking up the big chunks of PPP we left out there. But the explosion went off perfectly. And we got beautiful data from all 7 of our sensors. That was awesome.
In this final season, Retro Revisit, Adam and Jamie have confirmed that a lighter can stop a slug.
Hey, dude!
But the shooting ain't done yet.
Next up on What is Bulletproof, an often requested fan favorite that we somehow haven't got to yet, but that ends today. Here is the story. A man supposedly survived a point-blank shotgun blast thanks to a 30-gallon fish tank positioned directly in between him and the shooter, which completely stopped the round. Now, we don't know what kind of round was fired at the fish tank, so we're gonna have to fire more than one. Get ready. Things are about to get fishy.
Stand by for the guy's last ever What is Bulletproof Revisit.
Awesome.
Reason enough for Adam to go to town.
Now, just because we're going to shoot our fish tank doesn't mean we can't make it look nice. I'm going to do a little bit of interior decorating. First up, some gravel. It's beautiful!
Adam's following that Mythbusters mantra
I love it.
that if it's worth doing,
Look, they're totally working.
it's worth overdoing. Meanwhile, Jamie's got the big gun.
This gun right here is what this story's about. It's a standard 12-gauge pump-action shotgun. Now, we're going to be running 3 separate experiments with 3 separate types of rounds. Bird shot, buckshot, and a deer slug.
Because the guys like to end with a bang, they're starting with the least energetic round, the bird shot, which will be fired by Adam.
Okay, here we go. The classic battle. Bird shot versus fish tank. In 3, 2, 1. Well, I'll tell you, on the next shot, I am going to wear sleeves because a bunch of stuff hit me. Yeah, I got a little mark there.
Ironically, Adam's been hit. But Buster's not.
Looks like he was safer than you were.
The dummy is completely injury-free, and the high speed shows why.
So check this out. The bird shot blasts into the tank at 1,300 feet per second. But because each pellet weighs less than 1 gram, they're stopped by the water before they hit the back glass. That glass only breaks because of the shock wave caused by the blast itself.
Meaning that Adam and the fish really did get more hurt than Buster. But with a brand new 30-gallon tank set up just like before,
Here you go, my pretties. I love these robotic fish.
will Buster be saved again when facing off against Birdshot's bigger brother?
So what's going to happen with buckshot? Well, the lead pellets that are inside buckshot are the size of a 9mm round. So for my money, it's going to make it all the way through the tank, and it may well actually penetrate our dummy.
Well, with Jamie dressed to kill, it's time to find out.
Firing in 3, 2, 1.
The back glass didn't even shatter. I don't even need to walk over there to tell that our guy's okay.
Despite each pellet having more than 12 times the energy of birdshot, Buster's even more safe. And Adam has a theory as to why.
How is it possible that our buckshot didn't even get through the back of our fish tank? I have a little bit of an explanation for this. What is ammunition designed to do? It's designed to harm flesh. And what is flesh made of? Well, it's a bit of gristle, but mostly water. And water resists an impact in direct proportion to the speed of that impact. Faster the impact, faster water repels that energy. And that's why our buckshot loses almost all of its energy in the 12 inches of our fish tank. But we're not done yet. We have one more type of ammo to try.
Yep, for the third and final test, it's the Big Daddy, the deer slug. But will this be stopped even quicker again?
All right, here we go. This is deer slug versus fish tank, the final chapter. Safety's off. Range is hot. And 3, 2, 1. All the way through.
It's clear that this test caused way more carnage than the buckshot. But with no sign of the slug in the tank or in Buster,
I don't see a slug in him.
it's down to the spectacular high speeds to sort out the science.
So I fired the deer slug at the fish tank. And just like the other two types of ammo from the shotgun, the initial impact created this magnificent shockwave inside the fish tank. But uniquely among the three, the deer slug not only broke, but also pierced the back glass of our fish tank. But it's pretty clear on the high speed that as it does, it loses whatever remaining energy it had and then starts to move downwards instead of towards our ballistics gel dude. So I think based on this, we've got to conclude that the slug also does not make it through a fish tank in any lethal fashion.
And that's a conclusion that's even more concrete when Jamie does find the slug.
Found it. This is that bullet after it hit. It spread it, in this case, flat as pancake, and that sort of meant that it was like a drag chute on that bullet as it moved through the water. It did break through the other side of the tank, but really only just.
All right, time to tally up the results. What is bulletproof fish tanks? Did we prove that they're in fact bulletproof?
If we're talking about shotguns, pretty much.
Totally astonishing too, I might add.
Let's get out of here.
All right.
Next, in What is Bomb-Proof? Will there be fire in the hole?
In 3, 2, 1, go!
After 14 years of guns and ammo, here's the final season shooting stats. Since 2002, the Mythbusters have shot over 40 types of gun. And fired more than 500,000 bullets. They've revisited What is Bulletproof 6 times.
Another reason to love pepperoni pizza.
And proved once that Walter White was right.
That was an adrenaline rush.
Adam and Jamie are ending their final ever revisit
That was a crack.
with a bang. They're testing whether two simultaneous explosions of the same size can really cancel each other out. And after test 1, the control data is in.
So the data was clean. The nearest sensor showed 135 psi, and it evenly lowered to the last sensor at 25 psi. Now for the next test, instead of one blast, we're going to have 2 blasts on opposite sides going off at exactly the same time, the same distance, and those numbers, those pressure readings, will change. How exactly, we don't know. They could go down, they could go up, they could cancel each other out, but that's what we're looking for.
To find out, the guys salvage what they can from test 1.
3, 4.
That's good.
Awesome! Ha! I love that we don't have to replace this.
And begin to set up for test 2.
Good.
But Adam's already got concerns.
Look, we often make a joke on this show that failure is always an option. In this case, for this experiment, it's not. And allow me to explain. When we say failure is always an option, we're actually explaining that we have no bias as to how something turns out. So what we're really talking about is a failure of our expectations is always an option.
Oh! Any result's a result, that's for sure.
But we can't survive a failure of our methodology. And in this case, the methodology for this experiment is everything. We have to have those 2 explosives go off simultaneously and perfectly equidistant from the center sensor in order to get the reading that we're looking for. If we don't get that, it's going to be a heavy-duty reset to try and get it again.
To try to get 2 identical booms, the guys are using exactly the same quantity of explosive that's positioned perfectly equidistant from their data rig. And by using exactly the same length of detonation tube, they're leaving nothing to chance.
Fire in the hole!
But will that be enough?
Okay, double explosion in 3, 2, 1, go!
Well, that was a bit of a cold shower. I pushed the button and nothing happened. Well, almost nothing. Actually, I did watch the spark travel down the tube, but when it got to the water's edge, it stopped, which means that we may have gotten some water. But what it really means is that somebody owes us a case of beer, because that's what that means in the bomb world.
Rules aside, the guys quickly replace the dead tube, and then it's good for take 2.
Okay, here we go. Count it in, Mr. Heineman.
Okay, 2 blasts canceling each other out, maybe. In 3, 2, 1. Wow. I felt that one.
That was a bone rattler.
Holy.
In real time, it's impossible to see if the experiment was a success. But the high speed shows it was exactly that.
This is really, really beautiful. First of all, this camera angle is shooting at 4,000 frames per second. And you can actually see here from one frame to the next, boom. It's a perfectly simultaneous explosion. That's exactly what we were looking at. Now there's some cool stuff as you advance through the frames. You can start to see the actual shock waves there, these 2 bubbles. And as they increase, the gray line here above the water, you can actually see the cross of the 2 bubbles intersecting. We have sensors in place that will tell us what's actually happening there. Is it increasing the power? Is it decreasing the power? I honestly have no idea. And I might be overexcited because I was just rattled by an explosion. But I think this is pretty awesome.
Well, the good news is that the sensors survived.
Got the data.
You did?
Got it.
Dude, that's awesome.
And once dissected, Adam's ready to divulge.
All right, Mr. Heineman, we have actual data from that last blast, and it's beautiful. Do you want to hear it?
Yes.
Okay, so if you remember, right, we had 7 sensors to catch the intersection between the 2 pressure waves. Remember, for the first test, number 4 read 50 PSI.
Okay.
Second test, you will not believe its reading.
Is it double?
100 PSI.
Yes, I was right.
Was that your prediction?
Well, it's 2 energies, and where
Right.
they intersected.
Did you say that on camera?
No.
Oh, well, then it doesn't count.
I said it just now. I was the one that bet it.
No. He never wants to give a prediction before the actual fact. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
It's totally the opposite of canceling each other out. It doubled the power.
So we set out to test the myth that two identical explosions set off equidistant from each other would cancel each other out where their pressure waves intersected in the middle. Now, what we found was the exact opposite. It actually doubled there. A lot of physics is not exactly intuitive, but in this case, I think it is, because you've got twice the explosive power in the same vicinity, right next to each other, and it's not unlike a couple of hammers hitting. All that energy impacts right in the middle, and that's a bad place to be.
That one's pretty cleanly busted.
Yep, busted with TNT.
My ears are still ringing. I have ear protection.
Art shall blossom from your finger.
An ally has been slain.
In the king's name.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
This world needs hope.
Ally has been slain.
Faith in yourself. Bring their reign!
An ally has been slain.
Our deeds shape the future. Forge onward. for those who cannot.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
Break their ranks!
A summoner has disconnected.
I will not falter!
Shut down. Your team has destroyed an enemy.
Our courage must never waver.
Has been slain.
I bring justice. And ready. I will not falter!
Team has destroyed a turret. Your team has destroyed an inhibitor. Your enemy has been slain. Ally has been slain.
This world needs hope.
An enemy has been slain.